hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
on Pulse 95.
Have you guys ever basically been to any sort of food establishment, a bakery, a supermarket, whatever it is, and you pass by something, like you've passed by the food display or you order something and you're like, this is really good and I really want some of that, but I'm very full and I don't think I can eat right now. And then a couple of hours later, you just sit there in your house, in your room, and you're like, God, I wish I got that. Like, I know, again, peak first world problems, but this happens to me way too often, and that is exactly what happened to me last night when I was feeling a little bit down, and I was like, Aisha, you're gonna make yourself feel better by getting some of your favorite cookies. So I passed by a bakery and got myself some of my favorite cookies, and then I was looking at the display, and as I was looking, I noticed that they had my favorite sausage rolls in stock, and I was just staring at it and staring at it and staring at it. I was like, I can't have that right now because my mom had made lunch and it's one of my favorite foods, and I can't really fit a sausage roll or two into this meal right now. It's not gonna work out. But I knew deep down that I am going to crave this within a couple of hours, and I was absolutely correct because around 9 p.m., 10 p.m., I was like, goodness, I wish I got those sausage rolls. And luckily enough, the bakery was close enough that I could order from them for delivery. But goodness, this happens way too often, especially when I'm out with my friends and I'm eating at a restaurant with my family or whoever. And then I'd be eating, and then I'd be like, no, I'm too full. I can't eat more of that. But I know that in a couple of hours, I'm going to wish I took those leftovers home with me. So what I started doing basically is that no matter what I have, if I know that this is something I really love, I will always take the leftovers. I mean, you should always take the leftovers with you, but usually sometimes I would take the leftovers. If I'm too full, I would give it to somebody else or somebody who would eat it instead of me. But then this time I'm like, no, I'm gonna take it home. I know for sure that at some point, perhaps at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., I'd be like, boy, I wish I took some of those leftovers home because I'm craving the same thing again. Whether it's those really good tacos or sausage rolls, I don't know, honestly, cookies, whatever they are, always take those leftovers home and always stay tuned to Pulse 95 because this is the Afternoon Karak. I'm Aisha Al-Mazmi, running solo for a little bit longer as I wait for my co-host Mikhail, who is all the way in Jordan trying to sort some things out and basically in a well-deserved vacation, some time off. But we are not off from our usual agenda, especially our Thursday agenda. That includes another review of Marvel's What If episode 6. Goodness, I need to talk about this one. I did not expect this one to go like that, basically. And if you haven't watched it, this is a fair warning. It's going to be filled with spoilers. I'm also going to be talking about Tadam. Now, we spoke about Tadam a little bit, maybe I think it was 2-3 weeks ago, Mikhail and I, and it is Netflix global fan event, something basically like a showcase of all of its movies and TV shows that are going to be coming out next, and they give us a little bit of a glimpse, a trailer and a talent lineup and what to expect. And again, to continue with our traditions this week, I have another celebration, a lovely one. Cannot wait to talk about this one. And I'm going to be talking about Amazon unveiling a teaser and images for its reboot of I Know What You Did Last Summer. 4215 Etisalat, or do join in the conversation. Keep me company as I keep you guys company from 4 p.m. till 5 p.m. Stay tuned and stay locked to Pulse 95.
Is it an epic or epic failure? The Big Review. Movies, games, and TV in focus.
Pulse 95.
We are back with another review of Marvel's What If series. I'm going to be talking about episode 6 today that I did not expect to go this way. It is the story about Killmonger and what if Tony Stark never became Iron Man and Killmonger was the one who saved him. As usual, this is going to be a spoiler-filled review, so fair warning, if you haven't watched that episode yet, we might ruin it for you. Let's kick it off with Hint, who is saying, "Hi, I have to say this episode really hits home for me. Same here. I mean, actually seeing the implications of Tony not being captured and becoming Iron Man was unbelievable. I never imagined it this way. Black Panther's death really struck a chord for me. I still tear up when I hear Chadwick's voice. Same here. It was a surprise because for as far as we knew, or at least as far as I knew, the episode of him being Star-Lord was his last role ever. But then when I heard him again as Black Panther, it just struck a nerve." She says, "I can't help but thinking maybe this episode is connected to Black Panther too." That is a fair way of thinking about it. I'm not sure if I'm right, but I felt the Watcher had a sad look on his face, especially towards the end, instead of his usual poker face. Yes, exactly. That's something I noticed. I'm going to be talking about that in a bit. This is my favorite episode, along with Doctor Strange, because of the amazing storyline. I agree with you. This episode took some very interesting turns that I was very confused as to why it struck, even though Doctor Strange's episode, I was telling Mikhail a couple of weeks ago that it was just something like it hit a lot more harder than the rest of the episodes because it was about the consequences of your own actions and the things you do, etc. But this one just felt very weird. It did not feel like a what-if episode. It did not feel like it was a self-contained different multiverse. It felt like an actual thing that happened. Like, because of the way the show is, you kind of suspend your belief or be like, oh, this is something that happened very far away. It is so far away from our actual Avengers and the characters we grew to love over the past 10 years. And you're like, this is so, it's just sort of like fairy tales, or they're just really bad consequences, really bad nightmares. But this one just felt very real, especially the story of Killmonger. And perhaps it is because of the story of Killmonger that we became like that, or that's how I felt towards it. Perhaps it's because Killmonger's story over here is very reminiscent of his goals in the Black Panther movie, and it's not so far-fetched from that. He had the same dreams, the same objectives. The only difference is that despite what happened in Black Panther, here he is a lot more successful and a lot more meticulous, and he actually gets to his goals and reaches them one by one. And it was very interesting. And I agree with you, the Watcher kind of had a very sad look that made me think, uh-oh, what is happening here? Especially in comparison to what happened in Doctor Strange's episode. And I'm going to repeat that because during that episode, Doctor Strange himself speaks to the Watcher and he tells him, like, please help me do something about this. And he just kind of looks and he says, I'm really sorry. There's nothing I can do and there is nothing I will do. But over here, the Watcher felt very human. He felt truly like somebody who was watching this unfold alongside us. And basically, he felt that as if he is a person who actually has no power. And it makes you wonder, is the Watcher a strong being? Does he refuse to do things because he doesn't want to do things, or he cannot do things? And it just goes back to perhaps the creator's interpretation of the Watcher, simply because if you look at the comics, the Marvel comics, you know that some of the stories, the Watcher actually does get involved with some of the events that happen in the universe. So it depends on that. Even though he feels very grounded and big and strong, there's still that question of what is going on and why don't you join and what happens. Perhaps it is similar to what Kang was saying, that if he does get involved in some things, chaos might ensue. But who knows, honestly. Again, goes back to whatever the creators have their vision for the Watcher in the upcoming MCU phases. Now, I'm not too sure about it connecting with the Black Panther movie, Black Panther 2, but I get what you mean here. Like, there are some elements that make you think that we might see those things in the upcoming movie. What is interesting is that they made Shuri younger. I did not see that one coming. I expected Shuri to be a little bit older, but then if you remember, the stuff that happened with Tony Stark and him becoming Iron Man happened in 2008, so it only makes sense that Shuri would be around that age, because basically what happens is like as if the Black Panther story happened as early as 2010. And I really liked that. It was a very interesting take on it, but it hit hard. And I did not like that cliffhanger. That was unfair. This is one of the episodes where I was like, no, give me more of this. I mean, the previous ones, when they gave us the cliffhangers, I was like, perhaps it's for the best, because my nerves were basically burned and I could not bear to watch any more of this because it was getting crazy. And all I could think of was, especially the zombie episode, for example, all I can think of was, yeah, they're going to be doomed for the rest of their lives and nothing good is going to come out of what is happening in this universe. But this time, when I saw that team up between Shuri and Pepper, because even then it looked like it was all doom and gloom and nothing is going to work out. At that last moment, there was a silver lining and I was like, goodness, I want to see what's next. And then the end credits roll and I was like, what is going on here? Give me more of this. I want to see what happens with this team up. But perhaps this team up might actually happen, and perhaps that is what Hind is thinking of as well, because we all know somebody has to take over the Black Panther mantle, and we all think that it might be Shuri. So we just need to wait and see. Perhaps this scene is going to be replicated in that movie. And since we are talking about Marvel and whatnot, let's quickly chat about the Andrew Garfield viral Spider-Man video or picture that was all over the internet last week, because apparently Andrew Garfield came up and said that it was photoshopped and that it was not real. And what is interesting is that the actual creator of the video came up and said that it is a No Way Home deep fake video, that it is actually not a real one. And it just makes me wonder, honestly, is it really not a real one, or is this Marvel just being Marvel and being very smart about it and super fast in a way to basically clear up and make sure that nobody actually sees Andrew Garfield and any of the other Spider-Man or any of the other characters that they're keeping hidden? Honestly, if there is truly, if it actually is true, which we all believe it is, deep inside, that we're going to see Andrew Garfield and, basically different iterations of Spider-Man in Spider-Way No Way Home, it's just that I don't think any of us want that ruined. All of us want to wait and see it. We want to feel that surprise. So if it is real, or if somebody does have those kind of things, I honestly believe that they should not show it to us. If you have leaked some videos, images, just keep them. We don't want to see. I love a good surprise, especially when it comes to those Marvel movies, because it's very hard to keep them a surprise, or keeping those small elements a big thing to keep people excited, because more often than not, it gets ruined very quickly with spoilers. I'm going to be taking a short break, and coming up next, I'm going to be talking about Tadum, or Tudum actually, apparently, even though I'm going to stick with Tadum. It makes a lot more sense, which is Netflix's global fan event, a showcase of its upcoming TV shows and movie, and we got a little bit of a teaser of its lineup coming up next right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atiyah
On Pulse 95.
Not too long ago, Mikhail and I were speaking about Tudum, according to the latest trailer or teaser that we got from Netflix. It is going to be a global fan event, sort of a showcase of Netflix's upcoming TV shows and movie. And what is interesting is that in that teaser, basically Netflix says that they're going to be getting, or at least unveiling, 145 stars, as in they've got 145 actors and actresses to reveal exclusive first looks from over 70 of Netflix's biggest shows and movies. That is massive. Massive is an understatement, to say the least. So the virtual stage will basically spotlight actors and actresses, including the likes of Jason Bateman, Zazie Beetz, Millie Bobby Brown, Henry Cavill, John Cho, Lily Collins, Idris Elba, Kevin Hart, Chris Hemsworth, Dwayne Johnson, Regina King, Jennifer Lawrence, Adam Sandler, Zack Snyder, Charlize Theron, and so many more. And those names are massive. They're not small names. So it is just shows that, as usual, Netflix has a massive lineup of stars, as it usually does. I mean, some of these names are names that we've heard of before, as in we've seen them in other Netflix movies and shows, but I'm very interested in the fact they brought them back, because it might kind of hint that we're going to be getting a sequel or two, especially Chris Hemsworth, because we did get that action movie that we spoke about last year. It came out on Netflix, and it was quite I'd say a huge success, despite it being quite interesting and it being another Netflix action movie, another action flick. But it just shows that Netflix is basically very aware of its very successful IPs and titles, and they're just trying to capitalize on it. Some of these shows that are going to be returning are Stranger Things, Bridgerton, which they have hinted a while back, The Witcher, The Umbrella Academy, also a long-awaited big fan favorite from all of us, La Casa de Papel or Money Heist, and Cobra Kai, as well as blockbuster films such as Red Notice, Don't Look Up, Extraction, which is what we spoke about earlier, The Harder They Fall, and The Old Guard. It's very interesting, and remember, they said 70 shows and films, and those are just barely 10 of them. Cannot wait to talk about it when it comes out on the 25th of September. It's going to be happening at 8 a.m. EST, which is around noon or 2 p.m. UAE time. Goodness, guys, you already know that I'm really bad at math, but let's just say I think it's going to be 6 p.m. UAE time, because it's 5 a.m. PST, 12 p.m. GMT, etc. I cannot wait to talk about it when it finally happens next week. We're only 9 days away from that event. I'm going to be taking a short break, and coming up next is our celebration, and also we're going to be talking about I Know What You Did Last Summer, the reboot of the well-known horror series, coming up next right here on the Afternoon Karak.
What's the date?
What's the date?
What's the date?
What are we celebrating today?
Today we are celebrating something super cool, super interesting, and super important to all our lives. Aisha, you say this about every single celebration. That is true. But also, this is something that we kind of spoke about, which is also something I keep on saying as well. But it is kind of something adjacent to a topic we spoke about not too long ago, earlier this year, and that was Best Friends Day. But apparently September is Friendship Month, so happy Friendship Month to every single one of you. Now, obviously, what is life without friendship? We are social animals, and honestly, nobody, and I mean nobody, can exist in a void. They're gonna need some friends, they're gonna need some company of some sort to keep them going, because that is what we need deep down in our atoms, guys. We cannot live without our friends, and friends come in different types and shapes and sizes, and anybody can be your friend as long as they're willing to be your friend back, of course, and you are a civil and nice person, and you are basically on the same lane, because you cannot be friends with somebody, obviously, who is not with the same way you think, the same maybe morality. Is it morality? No, moral ground. I'm messing up my words today, but that is okay. It is the weekend, so I'm going to be a little bit nicer on myself and just say that it's fine if I'm messing up a little bit every once in a while. But let's go back to our friendship topic. I mean, what is life without friends, right? I mean, who picks you up when you need it the most? Who makes your life brighter if not your friends? If they're not there, honestly, I feel like life has no taste. It is an integral part of our well-being. It is an integral part of our growth, because most of my growth happened because I was surrounded by the right type of friends who basically uplifted me and made me a better person. Of course, you cannot be a better person if you do not want to be a better person initially. So there's that first. You need to take care of that. Check it off your list. And then you need to surround yourself with uplifting people who have, like I said, who are similar to you in the sense that they want to make you a better person. But then again, you need to also remember that they're also human beings that exist, and it's a whole mutual sort of relationship, and you should be also the uplifting and loving kind back at them. What everybody forgets is that platonic relationships and basically friendships overall they just forget that they're an integral part of our lives and that they are as important as romantic relationships. Because more often than not, we put a lot of time and effort and thought, and even when it comes to movies, TV shows, video games, etc., they put a lot of pressure, they put a lot of importance on romantic relationships. But when it comes to platonic ones, it is only a new sort of trope that basically people are taking into consideration within the worlds or the confines of cinema and TV shows and other mediums, that we tend to kind of forget about them in real life. I mean, I know a lot of people who would prefer or maybe put one sort of relationship over the other, whether it is their spouse or their significant other, etc. But honestly, those people are as important in your life as your romantic relationships. It does not make sense that you put one over the other. It is all about this beautiful thing that you cultivate together. It's a way of growth. It's a way of loving each other. And which is why I honestly feel like you should highlight your friendships and remember them as the catalyst that made you who you are today. It is very important that you love and cherish those friends who are with you through thick and thin, who are with you whatever you are, wherever you are, and however you're feeling, and they basically are an integral part of your life. And I keep saying that because I am super thankful for my friends. I genuinely would not be here without them. Honestly, in my darkest times, even when they're in their own darkest times, when we're both not in the mood to uplift each other, just their presence and them knowing that I'm going through something is sometimes more than enough. It is exactly what I need. The jokes that we have, whether they're inside jokes or just the way that they are, just seeing them and how beautiful they are inside, outside, is enough to uplift me and make me feel better. The small things that they do for me, the small things they remember about me, is always worth it at the end, and always makes me thankful for their presence in my life, each one of them. And friendships can also be part of, family, right? I mean, even some family members, because a lot of people think that, it's all about, blood is thicker than water, even though that is actually an incomplete quote, and it actually is the opposite. It is about how sometimes non-blood relations can be even more closer and more stronger than blood relations. But also, when you grow up, you learn that some family members are just family members, and you cherish them and you love them for the fact that they're related to you. And then there are those family members who just feel so much closer. They are your sister, your brother, or they are they're your best friend, and all kinds of feelings basically you have towards them, perhaps a lot more than other cousins or other siblings or other uncles and aunts. And they can also be part of this important month and the celebration that is Friendship Month. So again, friendship comes in all types and versions and sizes, etc. So cherish those friends. And honestly, in my opinion, even when it comes to romantic relationships, a good spouse or significant other is inherently, deep down, is firstly your best friend. That is the main thing. That is the basis of the relationship. They are your friend first, because what is the point of sharing my life with somebody who is not like a friend? And like that, guys, we should be celebrating every single friend we have. Maybe send them a text message or call them and tell them how much you love and appreciate them. Send them a box of chocolates, send them some flowers, whatever they love and whatever they like I spoke about with Mikhail a long time ago when we were talking about the ways that people express their love. And if you were on the internet for a moment, you would have heard about the 5 types of loving people and how people translate love. Just make sure you take that into consideration and give those people, whether they need words of affirmation, a nice hug, obviously within the confines of COVID-19 precautionary measures, of course, or if they prefer getting gifts or whatever it is, an act of service. Just make them special and make them feel loved today. We're going to be taking a short break, and coming up next, I am going to be talking about Amazon's reboot of What I Know What You Did Last Summer. Let's talk about that coming up next, right here on the Afternoon Karak.
Make a hot cuppa and relax. It's Afternoon Karak with Aisha Al-Mazmi and Mikhail Atia
on Pulse 95.
going to be talking about the latest Amazon reboot of I Know What You Did Last Summer. It is a reboot of the slasher film all the way from 1997. Yes, 1997 is quite a long way from now. Yeah, it is around, 23 years ago. Yes, goodness, that is a long time ago. It's not 10 or 13 or 17 years ago anymore. But let's go back to the teaser that we got from Amazon Prime. Of course, if you guys haven't heard of this movie or the series, it is basically it has the same premise as the movie adaptation. It is set in a town full of secrets where a group of teenagers are stalked by a mysterious killer after they accidentally run over somebody. And that mysterious killer basically tells them, I saw what you did and I know what you did and I'm going to be coming after every single one of you. And what is interesting here is that it's important that they keep that premise as close as possible. What I feel is interesting is the fact that they opted for a TV show over a movie, and perhaps that is an interesting take that a lot of the upcoming reboots, as unnecessary as a lot of them are, but I feel like they should take this route sometimes, because some movies, even though I always say that a lot of movies do not need any reboot, same goes for a lot of TV shows, but perhaps switching the medium around sometimes is necessary or an interesting take on it, especially since the I Know What You Did Last Summer movie has a sequel. So perhaps instead of having a first movie, second movie, etc., we can just have one series. Or in a way, this will allow us to delve deeper into the lives of each and every single character instead of just brushing it off and making it a very slasher movie, and that is it. Of course, the horror slasher elements are going to be super important in this series. And if we don't have that, then what is the point of the series? But perhaps just to make it interesting and to make it a true reboot and not just a copy paste of the previous movie, they're going to add layers to it by making us maybe be a little bit more attached to the characters, let us know more about them and understand them better. Again, it is a very modern take on it. Like, it basically took the same element and translated it to something that I could easily see happening in 2021 or 2022, and it is quite interesting. And what I like about it as well is that I think I do not recognize a single actor or actress in this trailer, and the reason why I say that is great news is because Mikhail and I are often massive advocates of seeing new faces. Perhaps they've had other small roles here and there, but we are very happy to see all kinds of new people. And of course, their colorful strobe lights, the music that is, again, they're playing Olivia Rodriguez is brutal. So it's very interesting, very captivating, and it is a true teaser trailer. It was very short, very fast-paced, just showed you the important elements and then moved on. And what is funny is that the important elements that they showed us are exactly the same as the actual movie that they're adapting, which means that there is highly likely going to be some interesting and new plot twists, or at least in a way to keep this series a lot more interesting and basically giving it a refreshing new take. And look, I urge every one of you guys to check out the teaser images and the trailer. Again, viewer discretion first, as it might be a little bit too graphic and might not be suitable for a younger audience or certain audiences, but it's quite interesting. Looking forward to seeing it eventually when it comes out not too long away. It's going to be coming out on the 15th of October on Amazon Prime. Now, my only question is, are they going to release it episode by episode per week, or are they going to release it just fully the way Netflix does sometimes? Just need to wait and see. And of course, when it comes out, we're going to give our first impressions of the series, because I grew up watching that movie, even though I probably was too young to watch that movie, but whenever it was on TV, I did watch it. And again, it is an important part of, it creates the basis of a lot of people's horror experience. It is what perhaps the first horror movies a lot of people watched when they grew up, perhaps from my generation, not the previous generation. So I think that a lot of people should be interested and should check out this iteration of this movie. With that, we wrap up, guys. It is time to leave the desk and make way for the amazing duo that is Big Hass and Anna Schofield, keeping you guys company from 5 p.m. till 8 p.m. on Yalla Home and Pulse 95 through the airwaves of Sharjah. I know you guys are excited, and perhaps some of you guys are already at home, but you know what time it is? Because ladies and gentlemen,
the weekend.
If you liked this episode of Afternoon Karak, drop a like and subscribe.
Pulse 95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.